Sometimes you just want to try something new. Many of the same tracks get rotated on iRacing, as many longtime watchers of GSRC will already know. So with the release of Snetterton in 2017, it finds itself on a slew of schedules, and today the AMGSC has come to town. Many question marks remain on how the three classes will play around this British circuit as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group's Sportscar Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth covering the prototype and GTLM classes is Bill Soup Zahn. Keeping us up on the GTD class is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, Snetterton seems a bit divisive based on the driver's reaction in the lead up to tonight's race. What is it about this place that makes people feel so black and white about it?
Well, Joe, first let's tell everybody where Snetterton's at. It's in Norfolk, which is in the UK, the United Kingdom. We come all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to this circuit that was first opened in 1951 and built on a former World War II Royal Air Force base. The United States Air Force used this as well. The original circuit was constructed on the old runways and taxiways left behind, but the track has undergone a lot of renovations and been upgraded with significant changes that were completed just back in 2011. Now, there are three configurations of this circuit available on iRacing. Today, we're running the 300. Yes, the 300. It's the longest, 2.98 miles with 13 corners and a host of various international champions, including British Formula 3, British GT, and British Tour Car championships. Now, several of the corners of the track pay homage to famous drivers, including Hamilton, Brundle, and most recently, the Montreal hairpin was renamed Wilson in honor of the late IndyCar and Formula One driver Justin Wilson, I'm sorry. Now, tell you what we're going to do is we're going to hop on board real quick and take a lap around the Snetterton 300 circuit here on the GSRC Lap Guide.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Audi, so let's do a lap around Snetterton. Coming up to Riches, though there's plenty of braking and you might get a chance to pass, this is still a relatively fast corner. The double apex also makes it tough to execute. From out of there, you could also be tempted to try something into Wilson. This is a tight little hairpin with a long braking distance in the Audi, but it's so sharp that entering on the inside line might just be too slow to get the pass done. Out of the corner, you've got to switch sides and you won't have much time to set up for Palmer. You'll find it really tightens on the exit, and many drivers will be lured into getting onto the power too early. Follow the slight curve of the straight and try to spot your brake marker for Agostini. This is a deceptively tight curve, and I found myself wanting to brake later and later, only to get bitten with a bad push mid-corner. I think a pass or two might be seen over the course of the race. Coming up quick is Hamilton, which is surprisingly fun for a medium-speed 90-degree bend. Then right away you're into Augies, which is thankfully the last of these many infield hairpins. The tricky bit here is the curved acceleration zone, where you might see a few tire tracks being left as drivers try to find grip. Then you've got one of the most important turns of the track with Williams. It's really tough not to turn in too early, and with it dumping you onto the Bentley straight, a hesitation on the gas can be costly. After a short breather, you're chucked back into it with one of the toughest braking zones of the whole lap. Brundle requires a big stab on the brakes, and then carefully you'll be bleeding it out as you get the car to turn. Then finally, another big stomp is needed to slow you up for Nelson. Keep off that big inside curb and then look for your brake marker into the bomb hole. The car compresses in the middle, but it's the crest on the exit that'll leave you spinning your tires half the time. Finally, we've got Coram. You'll always feel like you'll want to feed a little more gas in, but it's critical that you hug the right side. Straighten out the end of it as best you can, since that's where you'll be braking for Murray's. With this taking you back onto the pit straight, a good exit is oh so important. But hopefully you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Snetterton. There's a lap around Snetterton's 300 circuit in the GSRC Audi. Unfortunately, Amjad took the BMW GT3 out to get fish and chips, and well, he's an American, so he drove on the wrong side of the road and it got impounded. That's why we didn't have a lap in that one today. In the meantime, we're going to go to Bill and see what the story is looking like on the championships.
Laura Costa, Robert Tinsey, John Ulmer, Syandra, Mike Young, Alex Simonik, Alex Ellick. 7 drivers in all with wins in this class this season. A 7th of Phillip Island from Autobahn West, John Ulmer, coupled with a 2nd from Syandra, allowed those two to swap positions at the top. A third and an eighth between the next two drivers saw SRN's Daniel Gralty switch places with Talon's Robert Tinsey. And then there is Alex Ellis. His first career win moved him up 2 spots into 5th. Let's go ahead and look at the GTLMs, where Stephen McGarvey has won the last 2 races. It might be a case of too little too late for TMC Carbon Star, who is also out of drop insurance. For AOD's Jeffrey Ohms, a 9th and a 3rd in his last 2 efforts is not a crack in the armor. It might be a small dent, though. Autobahn's Billy Smith has shown he can win, earning a checker flag in round 2, but it's only been 2 podiums since then. SRN's Ryan Huff is working on a 5-race top 5 streak. Like McGarvey, Paul, oh my darling, is out of drop insurance, so every bad result from here on out is really going to hurt. Let's go to the GTDs, and if you look up Keeping Them Honest on Wikipedia, you'll get linked to Dennis Stravetic. Rainier Racing Team's Bradley Haley has been very good, 7 wins. Nevertheless, Stravetic is only 26 points back. The key number is the Comet's 32-point drop race insurance there. Hard to overcome those numbers. SRN Scott McGarvey looks to be locked in 3rd. Autobahn East Sheldon Rosenbaum has a win. And welcome to the overlay, Kevin Santana. In the teams, it is SRN. They are crushing it. Daniel Gralty, Ryan Huff, Scott McGarvey, no driver higher than 3rd in any class. Nevertheless, that team is way out in front. It was a good round for Autobahn as both West and East move up. Rainier drops to 3rd. TMC Racing falls to 5th. Okay, Joe, the good news for us here for GSRC is Sean Ambrose is indeed in the booth with us tonight. The way the prototype class has been throwing around wins, he was thinking that if he entered, he might be able to just pick up one of those tonight. But he's gonna be here and do his job like he's supposed to.
I've watched Sean race, so I'm pretty sure he's a little bit more better on the low downforce cars. So,
yeah.
But in the meantime, Sean, let's talk about the places to pass around here, because this is a bit of a new track on iRacing, and a new track for a lot of these drivers. Some of them haven't raced here before today's race. Some of them have bought it for the first time for this league. So what are the places that they need to be looking out for to maybe get one over their competitor?
Yeah, fair game there, Joe. Really, it is still rather new to a lot of people, including myself and including Soup and maybe even yourself. But no, really, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity. You're probably going to be in Riches. Now, it's going to be turn 1, the short trip across the start-finish line down the front straight. You're going to be able to get get an opportunity there to the inside of Riches. Now, then the chase down to Wilson, that hairpin down there, turn 2, another really, really good opportunity to overtake. Now, probably one of the more riskier spots to overtake someone is going to be down in a place like Brundle and Nelson, that complex. You're going to come off that Bentley straight. That's the only spot on this track where you really get to go just wide open for any great distance. And the problem is at the end of Brundle, you really got to get in braking there, turning left. And if your car is not pointing in the right direction, you hit the brakes at the wrong time, you're going to go around and probably take out the cars next to you there. So that'll be a tricky spot to watch. Agostini could be a good opportunity there. That's probably the only spot in the middle section of the track that you're going to have an opportunity. Agostini, a bit of a hairpin there, turn 4. So we'll watch for some possibilities there. But like I said, the one danger zone that I think you might catch a lot of people out today is going to be that Brundle Nelson complex right there, Joe. Awful tough in any car that you put on this track.
Now, Bill, obviously we won't get to see a repeat winner because Ellis isn't out here today. But we do have both Tinsey and Andra, and they are 2 of the main championship rivals in this season. Andra does not look like he's on pace for Tinsey today. Do you think this is a chance for Tinsey to try to gain ground and get himself back in the fight?
Yeah, he was gaining ground for a while till Phillip Island really hurt him. The bad news for Tinsey is he's out of those drop race insurance. So every time he has a bad race, it really costs him. That's why he fell in the points. Yeah, Joe, you're on it. Look for him to pick up the win today. I don't want to take the drama out of our broadcast, but he's going to be tough to beat.
And then, of course, looking down, we talked about the battle between Savretic and Haley. I'm looking through, and am I seeing? Well, no, Haley is here today, but he doesn't have a lap in. And I'm wondering if he's even he's not in the session right now, interestingly. So could this be Denis Savredic's best chance to try to run him down, Sean?
Well, could be. Leave it to last chance qualifying for there be some excitement break out here, but we'll see what kind of a lap he can throw down here.
Savredic's been really hot, though, of late. Even the good news is for Haley, he does have that huge drop insurance, so even if he doesn't show up today, it's not going to hurt him too bad. But Savredic, really, Sean, for the last 3-4 races, he's had the best of Haley, I think.
Boy, he really has, Soup. He seems like the driver to beat right now, and you kind of start to wonder what's going on with Brad. They're not taking a qualifying lap. Quite frankly, he's just about out of time to try and get a decent one in.
And we're going to have to take care of a few things real quick, so we're going to end the stream for just a moment. We'll be back here for the race, round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge at Snetterton. Don't go away. Welcome back to Snetterton Circuit, here where we're watching round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. I'm Joe Peak once again, and qualifying has now completed. So with that, we will go through our grid as we have Robert Tinsey on the pole once again. Cy Andra is going to complete that front row, but we'll hope that his race pace is a little bit better to maybe give us a bit of a race at the front. Daniel Gralti is going to be starting in third with Lionel Pratt in fourth. Then in row 3, it's Mark Wilson starting fifth and Armando Edwards in sixth. Then only a 7-car field in the prototypes today. Chris Pence rounds out everybody with a 7th place start. Bill?
Top of the order in the GT-LMs, it is the Mantra, Jeffrey Ooms, ahead of Jason Girard. Stephen McGarvey, he's on a 2-race win streak, looking to pick up his third today. Leif Peterson behind him in fourth. Ryan Huff, Jimbo Pfeiffer, and then Sean, help me out. Mark Kradowski down there in my rods and cones. Is that a guy in my class? Is he down there in 7th?
He is Mark Kradowski. Yes, sir.
All right, over to you now.
All right, Soup, I'll take it away. It's going to be Denis Savredec on the pole and Jason DeVries there in second. Giuliano Romagnolo third. Fourth, going to go to Kevin Santana. Fifth, Sheldon Rosenbaum. Sixth, Ross Booth. Tim McLeish, 7th. Matt Owens, 8th. Bradley Haley, 9th. Did not take a time. Robert Sklenka will start 10th. And Alex Simonik will start 11th in class. Samuel Scott will start there at the end of the GTE field there, Soup.
Got it. Good to see Deep Freeze DeVries back with us.
Been a long time. He used to be much of a regular in this series as the cars grid up, or at least they will soon. We're waiting for the last of the qualifying to tick down there as the checkered flag has come out on it. However, we do have a pit reporter here with us today. Calvin Filarski joins us down there to keep track, and he's got his running shoes on. But bit of a short race today, Calvin. So what are we expecting on pit stops?
Well, guys, we should be expecting only one stop today. It's one of the 60-minute events on the calendar to start off the European leg of the series. But yeah, we should be expecting only one stop, fuel, so they can make it the rest of the way. Tires may be optional. We'll have to see how the strategies shake out.
It certainly is going to prove a little interesting as, like I said, unknown territory for a number of drivers. We don't know how the 3 classes will play amongst each other. Bill, one of the things that I did notice last round, actually the last 2 rounds, I should say, and looking at the qualifying, maybe a driver to watch, Daniel Gralti. He's got 2 podiums in a row, could make it 3 today if he keeps this position. Do you think maybe he's someone to worry about in future seasons?
I do. He is really coming on. I would say definitely somebody to worry about if the level of competition wasn't so tough in that prototype class. But yeah, they are loaded up there. Be nice if maybe he's the 8th driver. We talked about Sean Ambrose looking to get that be the 8th driver to pick up a win. Maybe Daniel Giralty can get one here today with kind of a smaller field with this being President's Day. I know that a lot of the drivers want to support Millard Fillmore and Calvin Coolidge, so that's why we're a little smaller here today.
Oh, Bill, your references. So as they grid up, you can see very, very short pace lap around here. Just before Coram is when they are going to follow the roof pace car. And then they'll weave around Murray's onto the front stretch. Pace car will peel off. It is going to be a split start. You'll see the GTLM class, which we're looking at here, will wait just a little bit since they're starting so close to the start-finish line. Before they accelerate away and give a nice gap so that they don't trip over one another. They'll each get their own individual green flag.
With the smaller field, one thing we didn't talk about, a little less traffic for some of those prototypes guys to deal with.
And I would definitely describe this as a bit of a point and squirt type of track, Sean.
Yep.
So does that help things with it being more straightaways that they have?
Does it help things? I think what really hurts things is the 102-degree track temperature today, Joe. So when you talk about point and shoot there, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to find the grip. In fact, I saw several drivers complaining about the lack thereof of the grip, and some wondering where the power in the Merc was, where the grip had gone to. So, boy, it could be suspect. I go back to what I said in the pre-race when we were talking about the track. The only one really good long straight you've got here is the Bentley straight, and the center straight up the front side isn't bad, but the Bentley straight is where you're really going to have to get things sorted out today here to get some real premium overtaking done.
I'm telling you, iRacing has brought in global warming into the platform. I'm sure of it because the last 3 or 4 races I've done, it's been warm.
They do actually, interesting note about, they do actually take into account, typical weather in the area. So you're more likely to get hot races at Phoenix and things like that. So it's something to that, Bill, as they take off and head around Coram. We've watched the HPDs only have one more to go. This is going to be one of those tricky braking zones. You can see you really don't get the car straight before you're hitting the binders for this sharp left-hander. One of the newer additions to this track, just introduced in the latest update to the layout. Roof pace car peels off. Robert Tinsley is going to have control of the field. Accelerates very quickly, gets a great jump on Andra, his main competitor that he needs to worry about, that he wants to gain points on today. Almost everybody single file by the time they get to Riches. So let's jump back to the GTLMs.
Oh my goodness, it's a long time before Ooms gets going, and he does. He really had the field bunched up. Gerard, McGarvey, Peterson into 4th, Huff into 5th. Very small field. They get single file, about 7 deep. Sean?
All right, and it's going to be Safretic getting away quickly here at the front. Several cars did not start. Haley's, Glenka, Simonic did not start this race. And the field has gotten away already line astern as Safretic gets a really good jump here to get started on DeVries. Now DeVries under challenge there from Romagnolo.
Romagnolo, one of those newer drivers to the series. His rookie season has shown speed, but hasn't participated enough to really have a good opportunity to take a win. Today, with a few less cars out there, this could be a great chance for him to sneak one in, but he's got to get past the new old-timer DeVries first as they head into Augustini. He gets very close as we ride on board with Romagnolo. Nothing doing through that sharp left-hand hairpin, though.
DeVries in the only Audi in this field, Joe.
Yes, and that's a good point, Sean. They've had a recent balance of performance change with the GT3s on iRacing in the past week or so. That could change how we see the Audis do out there as we switch up to the HPDs coming back onto the front stretch to complete their first lap. Your order is Tinsley, Andra, Gralty, Edwards, and Duprat for your top 5. Bit of a battle between Edwards and Duprat for the moment. Duprat is our AM championship leader, and by a huge margin, he has almost double the points of the next car down in the AM championship, at least. Oh, takes a look into Wilson, but can't do anything with it.
Good opportunity for Edwards to get some points here as he races in fourth.
Well, right now, he's got to fend off a charging Duprat. So this is not guaranteed. And behind them, if they start battling, it's not too far back to Mark Wilson as well. Still early days. They haven't hit traffic. We're really curious to see how that is going to play between all three of these classes, working its way through Augies now. Then up to the very quick Williams that leads on to the Bentley Straight. Most drivers really spreading out here at the start, getting themselves their own little piece of track. The closest battle I can see is in the GTDs. That's for second between DeVries and Romagnolo.
Yeah, and it is heating up, Joe. Romagnolo has put that that front grille right up under the wing there, that Audi, a couple of times already.
Yeah, Sean, not my class, but I kind of peeked back there too. Romagnolo is fun to watch.
It's putting the pressure on at the moment now as they weave their way through Williams. Each of the corners named here after famous drivers, teams, figureheads in British racing. Commentators even, yes. Both Brundle and Murray.
One day Soup's Corner, I can see it now.
Gonna have a Campbell soup can statue there. As they work their way out of Nelson and then through the bomb hole. The track really dips through there. You can see these GT3s with all the gadgets they have don't have as much of a problem, but the GTLMs I could see having a little bit more issues without a lot of the fancy things on those cars.
Sure, it's great to see that Audi out there racing, though, in that GTD class. Nice to... They have three classes, and really only one class shows up.
Yeah, it's been heavy on the Merc all season for sure, but it is great to see this Audi performing right now. It seems like DeVries has got a handle on it, Joe.
Behind them, we're seeing Santana and Booth start to come together as they break for Wilson now. You can see the battle closing up through the corner just ahead, but unfortunately a bad exit for Romagnolo as we ride on board with Santana robs him of a chance. Ross Booth, having had some decent results this season, currently sitting fourth in his class. Let's hope that maybe he can bring something to the table here for Santana, give us a nice fight. They work their way through the infield. This is another of the newest portions of the Snetterton circuit, just built in the latest update. Before it was very, very simple. They added, what was it, almost a mile, Sean, on this infield that it adds to the length?
Yeah, I think it was 0.96 or something like that. But yeah, definitely a nice addition and really makes this this course a lot more interesting. Somewhat familiar to maybe like one of those mini go-kart tracks you'll find locally somewhere, just on a bigger scale.
One of our GTLMs has had an early stop here. Calvin, did you see any data about the stop? Does it seem like fuel, tires? What happened?
No, I didn't get a chance to catch you. Came down pit lane. I'll try and get back to you since I have more information.
It looks like as we've got Mark Kudrowski on screen, we believe that it was the Mean Beaver Racing 4GT that came in there. We'll go back to Calvin once he's got some info on how long that stop is.
Yeah, I'm not showing him a stop, and it looks like maybe it just passed through. Oh, and our director's showing a stop. So the bad news for Mark was he didn't even start up though with the. You know what? I bet you that stop might have been that he had to start from pit lane because he wasn't in with his buddies.
Yep, that could indeed be it, as our timing and scoring sometimes doesn't tell the full story. Good catch there, Bill. We're meanwhile looking at Leif Peterson, who is being chased by Ryan Huff, and this is in the GTLM, who haven't gotten a lot of love so far in our coverage here today. So as they come onto the Bentley Straight, Huff and the trailing orange and white 4GT as we look back out by the exhaust of Peterson.
Huff having a really great season. Sitting, I think, about fourth or fifth in the points right now. He's been really doing well. Peterson, a longtime veteran here of the Autobahn series.
Working their way through Corum, the long right-hander. Right tires really get a working through here.
All this going on behind Ooms, who's about 3.2 seconds ahead of the competition. Gerard and McGarvey, second and third. This is your best battle there.
Wonder if what kind of effect the types of corners that they have are going to have on the tires, Bill, because like I said, we've got some fast right-handers like with Corm and their Riches that they just went through. And then a lot of the hairpins we're going to see seem to be left-handers.
Yeah, well, the first hairpin you get to is a right-hander, but then there are the left-handers. One thing that I like about this track as far as lap traffic, there's not a lot of back and forth, not a lot of right-hand corners followed by left-hand corners. It really... You're going left, you're going left, you're going left, you're going right, you're going right, you're going right. You know what it reminds me of? This track reminds me. Ever gone to Disneyland where they put you in the little rat maze there, and you see the same guy going by as you stand in line and waiting for the line? You see him, then you circle back and see him again. You see him again. It's kind of what happens at the first part of the track there.
I think over across the pond, if we were at this track, they would call that a queue, Bill.
There you go. That's right. It's kind of like being at the bank where you have to follow stay within the little ribbons. I'm worthless tonight. I have nothing to add to this broadcast.
Peterson. It's okay. It's actually, it's incredibly spread out. That's what's amazing me right now as we switch up to Tinsey, who's still leading the way up at the top of the prototypes. There's really, even though there's a couple cars that are close, there's not really many battles per se. Drivers are just kind of following each other. This is probably the calmest start we've ever seen for an Autobahn race in all of our, 5 seasons of coverage?
Jimbo Pfeiffer taking a little trip through the English alfalfa there, but he gets it back on. That's about the only off I've seen.
That was over, and one of the toughest corners, braking for Brundle and then coming out of Nelson. Didn't hit anything. And interesting that you do mention the alfalfa, Bill, because coming out of Riches, there is actually a lot of weeds and things that you can get into if you slide far enough. And actually, I have tested that. When you go far enough, you do fall off the world, Bill.
Okay, it's not. They don't let you drive all the way to get that fish and chips, I guess. Okay.
Actually, where is Tinsey in terms of traffic? That's one of the things that can shake things up. And speak of the devil, he's coming up on Kudrowski right now. And it's not too far to the first GTD of Owens. Let's hop on board Bob the Blade as he starts to hit the first of the slower classes. Looking over his left shoulder. Oh, and just as that happens, Andra has problems. Andra gets into Mark Kudrowski.
Kudrowski was really slow on the track.
He got loose on the entry into Riches.
You know what it was? He was not on a familiar racing line because he let Tinsey, it put him in unfamiliar ground.
Poor Andra, not expecting the slow GTLM car. Let's watch the onboard of Andra here. The closing rate through here has got to be immense because this is a fast corner in high downforce cars. Wow. Yeah, just zero reaction time.
Kudrowski left Tinsey room, and then he ended up with a little bit of a tank slapper through the corner, lost all of his momentum, and Andra.
Well, a lot of damage on that car there.
Boy.
This is way too early for a scheduled stop. Oh, this is going to be horrible. They do have a spare car that they can get out there. Now, his nose has come back on the broadcast. That is iRacing updating the server, getting a little bit more accurate information. That's why it has disappeared and reappeared. So maybe it's not as bad as we assumed. He has been caught by Daniel Gralty.
Gralty working around McLeish right now. Sean, I was just going to mention that usually when my prototype boys get over to your GTDs, they're usually in a battle. It's usually the prototypes have to go through a hornet's nest, but not the case today. Your guys are nicely spread out. Yeah,
as Tinsey comes through here, he's going to get around Ross Booth clean here. At least we hope so. Yeah, he's going to find a good opportunity there. And the next car ahead of Ross there, Kevin Santana, not really locked in a battle immediately. Just up ahead of him, you've got Roman Yolo still on the chase, but losing ground to DeVries. And that Audi, man, that Audi looks strong. Maybe something to the whole BOP that we were talking about in the pre-race there. He has been able to keep Savretic at bay. It's under 2 seconds to the leader.
Well, there's a lot of flat curves around here. The Audi was known for not liking them before, and I believe there was some talk from the iRacing devs that they had eased how it operated over those curbs. So this is probably going to be a boon for that R8 out there. Meantime, Tinsey still weaving his way through that gap between himself and Andra. Seems to have stabilized at about 3.3.
Surprisingly, Andra's car still very competitive. He's able to keep the gap from Gralti, that interval now 1.3 seconds.
I suspect maybe Andra just was kind of tiptoeing his way through a few corners to see where he stood. Now that he knows that it's not too bad, he's back on the power. And actually, traffic is really helping him because poor Daniel Gralti is caught behind Kevin Santana. The GTD car pulls to the inside, and the extra downforce of the prototype allows it to swing outside of Corum. Now he's by, but the damage is done. It's up to 2.6 seconds between himself and second place Andra.
To be coming up that battle between Romagnolo and De Vries, that's really stretched out. Deep Freeze has left Romagnolo behind.
There is indeed no battle closer than 1.5 seconds between any of the GT machinery. Same thing with the prototypes because of that incident between Andra and the GTLM.
Yep, we have magic software that usually brackets our battles, and right now there's no brackets up there. It's blank.
The sheet is clean right now.
This is a great thing for the drivers because they can really focus on the traffic and not what cars in the same class are doing.
John Ulmer's got to be watching saying, sure, the one race I miss, it's peaceful.
Right, exactly.
Well, it hasn't been peaceful for Cy Andra. It's going to be a little peaceful for us. Apologies for the technical difficulties that we've been having on this stream. We're going to take a quick break here to sort a few of those out. We'll be back for the rest of round 11 in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge at Snetterton. Don't go away. Welcome back to Snetterton. Once again, you're watching round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. 41 minutes left to go in this 60-minute race. Robert Tinsey is your leader in the prototype class. Jeffrey Ooms leads the way in GTLMs. Dennis Servretic leads the GTDs. Now we had a significant development over in the GTD class as third place Giuliano Romagnolo, unfortunately, had almost contact with Lionel Duprat in the prototypes, went off course going through Palmer, and then as he tried to recover, he got into a side-by-side battle with Ross Booth. They made contact. Romagnolo got spun into the wall. You can see the results there. Sean, it is just not his day today.
No, Joe, not at all. And Romagnolo, well, he's got it in the pit. It's still in there. He has left the server and the cars behind the wall. So now it's up to Servretic to keep pace here. And boy, watch out for the strong pace of the Audi. Jason DeVries really, really wheeling that machine right now. Still got this within 2 seconds behind Servretic. It is not changed for at least the last half dozen laps.
And also, this means Kevin Santana gets moved onto the podium. The interesting thing that about Santana is, even though he was much more towards the back of the pack with the prototypes, when he switched over here to the GTDs, he's proven to be a very fast driver. But I was shocked, Sean, when I looked at the stats. Last round was only his second podium this season. Why do you think that is?
I think it's honestly, it's been the strength of Bradley Haley and Servretic and, well, guys like Sheldon Rosenbaum who've been faster here in the previous rounds. It's starting to come together for Santana, and you know what? It could be two podiums in a row for him here this week if he just keeps his head on his shoulders and keeps the tires in the gray.
Of course, Rosenbaum is known as Mr. Consistency in this series. Used it to such good effect that he actually took a win just when everybody fell by the wayside at a chaotic race at Mosport earlier this season, which was extra special for Rosenbaum, being a native Canadian. Oh, in the meantime, Chris Pence, we're hearing, is in the pits. Calvin, did you happen to see what exactly caused him to come on in?
You know, he just rolled in. He's gone behind the wall already. I'm not sure if he's had any technical difficulties, but he's running 7th at the time. We'll be keeping an eye out for him, see if he comes back on track.
We could see on the replay there, it was on the front stretch, just kind of slid off the course. Not sure if maybe this was real-life obligations or possibly hardware failure. In the meantime, that means that we are now down to 6 of our prototypes still going. Bill, you've got something happening on track.
Got a little bit of a battle. Stephen McGarvey's won the last 2 races. He'd like to get a third one here. He is beginning to run down Jason Girard. Now that is Daniel Gralty going through in the prototypes. But little by little, Stephen McGarvey is coming. He's now back by only under a second.
McGarvey took a long time to get his first wins of this season. He is the reigning champion. And what was the GT1 class has now switched over to GTLM cars, has not shown the same sort of pace as it's been the Jeffrey Ooms show basically all season long. A slew of wins, but as we said, the momentum starting to go back into the favor of McGarvey.
Whoa, McGarvey got really loose, but he got it gathered up. Thought he was going to loop it around.
If he gets too much momentum, he'll take it off track, though, like that. Lost him a little bit of time on Girard. Now he's got to regather himself, get that Ford back in the game.
The McGarvey brothers, both Scott and Stephen, having a good year, both inside the top 5 in their classes. Doesn't look like Scott's here today, though.
No, I do not see him down in the GTDs. He's certainly been showing himself to be at least have somewhat of what his brother's speed, as he's been taking podiums and good finishes down in the GTD class. Meanwhile, Dennis Servretic taking full advantage of Bradley Haley not being here today. Now, the bad news for him at, 27 points back, Bill?
Yeah, that's what really is the bad news is Haley has like 32 points in his pocket, so even though he's not here today, he's still going to get 32 points, which is huge.
And I believe it's 32 total. It's 15 and, or is it 16 and 16?
No,
Something like that?
his best race is 32. That's actually the number he has dropped.
Oh,
I
see.
had to drop a 32-point race, so the worst he's going to score today is 32 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So it's going to be minimal inroads, but this does suck up one of the drop races of Haley. So the good news for Savretic means that if Savretic stays consistent and Haley has bad races, it's going to be easier to catch up later on in the season. But he's running out of time to do it. He's at least keeping the pressure on. I really would peg Dennis Savretic for being a much stronger contender for the championship next season.
Guys, I'll tell you what, DeVries is starting to take a chunk out of this lead. It's down to 1.4 seconds, just a little bit every lap. It's really, really minor, but it continues to close. The Audi is strong and is really tracking well around the Snetterton 300 circuit.
You can see him. That's never good for me. When I see my prey, I always overdrive and slow down. But that's DeVries is a cool customer. Therefore, the name Deep Freeze. Don't expect that to happen from him.
Well, the other thing that we need to consider is, as was mentioned earlier on, a bit of a hot track out there. It has cooled down to about 97 degrees last we looked at it, so not quite up into the hundreds like it was before. And it makes me wonder if the style of driving, with us seeing Savretic coming out hot, putting really good laps in, maybe it's coming back to DeVries. Maybe the Audi is a little bit kinder on his tires. These are different makes of cars, and they do react to different styles of driving differently over the course of a stint. In the meantime, sounds like Calvin has seen some action in the pits. Calvin, what's going on?
Well, guys, looks like Chris was able to bring the car back on with the circuit. Not sure exactly what the issue was, but he's got a brand new vehicle back out there that switched over to the spare car. He's got 4 brand new shoes and a full tank of gas. We'll see if he can make it to the end of the race. But he's currently sitting 2 laps down, so we'll see how much ground he can make up.
34 minutes to go, Sean. Maybe. I think he's got a shot to go from here.
Yeah, I think it's realistic. I think we can get enough out of that HPD to make it to the end.
The bad news for him, though, Bill, is that as we look at our HPD leader, Robert Tinsey, that Chris Pence is not going to be getting any blue flags to help him past these GT cars.
No, he's going to be coming up. There's going to be passes for actual position. Nevertheless, they will get out of the way. They'll be polite. This doesn't matter. They're not going to see the blue flag. They may not realize what's going on.
Exactly. It's not something you really want when you're in one of the GT cars, is a faster class coming through without warning. As we watch Cy Andra work his way through traffic, he's actually cut it down to about 2.2 seconds, I am seeing. So what was 3.3 has shrunk slightly, but I wonder if some of that is due to traffic.
Yeah, he's got that reinforced nose up there that was able to take that pounding early on. The car looks really good.
I can't believe it's in as good a shape as it is.
I kind of just scooped the nose right underneath between the wheels there and didn't get a lot of damage. But yeah, it's running well. Remember, Gralty was closing in on him. We thought Gralty was going to run him down. That's not the case. That's 8 seconds now between Andra and Gralty.
Story of the race right now, though, for me, is absolutely the GTD lead. It was under a second for a moment. It's gone back up as they come around Coram to complete another lap, almost exactly halfway through, but we're not expecting these cars to come in. Sean, these guys tend to play the long game in the slowest class.
They do. Look for them to run it out, Joe, probably until the last 15 minutes of the race. But, man, okay, so this is what we got. The Merc has got a little more grunt to it than the Audi. Okay, so in the open sections of the circuit on the straightaway right here, Savretic is getting into DeVries just a little bit. But man, when things start to compress and get a little bit shorter, and we got to start dealing with the left and the rights and the more technical areas of this track, this is where DeVries is making gains, and he's making them big time. Is right there, a good trip through the hairpin gets him a little bit closer, and now through the left-hander. Honestly, where the car really seems to perform well, that Audi is down in Brundle and Nelson. Watch them the next time they come through here, Joe. You'll see the performance of that Audi.
right now, heading towards Hamilton, which leads you into the hairpin of Augies. You have to get that car whipped across the track and then brake quickly. And that oh-so-tricky curved acceleration zone out of there, where the traction control of GTD can come in handy. Bill, it sounds like there's a little bit of a battle in the prototypes, though, as well.
Armando Edwards, little by little. Let's be positive. I'm going to say he's slipping back into the clutches of Lionel Duprat. Let's be positive. Lionel Duprat beginning to run down Armando Edwards right now.
Duprat doing a pretty nice job. I don't think... Have we ever seen Duprat get a podium? If it is, I feel like it was many seasons ago. He's been racing the prototype for, I think, since we joined coverage of this series.
Volunteered to come over and race for Mama Jean Racing. Past Mama Jean's bedtime right now. She'll be watching this early Tuesday morning when the paper comes. Mama Jean.
Tinsy's in.
Oh, look at that.
And we've also got one of our GTLMs in, so getting busy down for Calvin Filarski. Let's send down to Calvin and get the update. Calvin, do you have a copy?
Yeah, Robert Tinsey in. He's just pulling into the #1 spot. And looks like it might be fuel only at the moment.
He does hand over the lead to Cy Andre, who stays out for now. Gralty goes by as well. Edwards has not come in. Looks like Duprat's going to stay out. So Tinsey, the only taker this time.
Boys, now I'm telling you, I don't want to be chicken little. I've been doing it. The sky is falling, and the sky is falling. He's going to run out of fuel. All I can say is he did make that stop before the halfway mark. Now, he came in before the halfway mark. He came out right at 30 minutes. Did he run it dry? Is that as far as he can go? And is he looking at having to save a little bit to get to the end?
I think
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the telling thing on that, Bill, will be whether or not we see everybody of the HPDs come in. If none of them come in, then I think it's pretty safe to say he was just splitting it. But
this lap would tell us, I think.
Jason Gerard, second place, formerly second place in the GTLMs, comes in and out.
We did do a race earlier this season. I can't remember what track it was, but it was a thirsty track where they actually had to make a second stop on these 60-minute races.
Normally I wouldn't think that this is one of the tracks that would need that, and Cy Andre comes in. So that's the first of our HPDs.
Savretic stays out, so that's a good sign. Oh, but Savretic's not, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yes,
He's not in a prototype, yeah.
Yeah, different class there. But Gralty stays out. All right, I'm pretty sure we're safe.
Page 17 of the GSRC handbook, though. Try to find drama whenever possible. So, fuel for Tinsey. That's what I'm going to be preaching when we get near the end.
Yeah, Edwards stays out as well. Duprat stays out. Yeah. So this is, false alarm from Bill this time.
Gralty getting around Savretic there.
The first time. Sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
I was just saying, Gralty getting around Savretic there. And the battle continues there for the top two in the GTD class. Savretic still leading DeVries by just a little bit. It's still right at about a second, 1.1.
He's really keeping him at bay, though. We haven't seen it come down since. And it's going to change around a little bit as both the GTLM and HPD classes have to get by them. But keeping it within, about 0.3 is quite good consistency between two drivers.
Yeah, they haven't been caught by a GTE yet. And Joe, until we hit the pit stops for these guys, I don't know if they will get pit. Let's see, Ooms is, 1 minute and 17 seconds ahead. So, yeah, I don't know. I think these guys will make it to the pit stop without having to worry about traffic with the GTEs.
Calvin, GTLM guy coming in?
Yeah, Stephen McGarvey also came in from P2 and GTLM. In and out, just a little bit of fuel, and back on the track you went.
Oh, looks like Daniel Gralty comes in for his scheduled stop. He will relinquish the lead now. And that is regardless of whether Armando comes in or not, because we should see Robert Tinsey come by regardless. Armando is going to go for another lap. However, AM Championship leader Lionel Duprat comes on in for his stop.
Mondo gonna lead a lap. Praying for rain right now. Although I guess in these cars, but they still race these guys, rain or not.
Hashtag soon, Bill.
Okay.
There you see Tinsley slotted into second place now that most of the drivers have taken their pits. And after the stops, I'm seeing him having gained a little time over Andra. That's back up to 3.5 seconds. A little bit of ebb and flow between our prototype leaders. Amazing that Andra has been keeping him this honest, been keeping this pace up after a good thwack. If you're just joining us in the first few laps, the very first time they came up to lap traffic, got run into, or not got run into, but ran into somebody else into the first corner.
I'm calling for Armando Edwards to stay out. Just run it out of fuel, baby.
That honestly seems like the strategy he's going for, riding on board with Armando right now. The New Jersey driver swings it around the very fast corner, tugging it right to the inside of that corner. Woed up, down for Murray's. Does he come in this time as he gets to the power? Yes, he does. That's it.
It's got that needle below the E. Ever get below the E? Why don't just keep going, see how far it'll go.
All right, as that prototype pulls in, that now sets things back into the order it was for the prototypes. Tinsley in the lead, Andra into second. And, oh, now is Jeffrey Ooms is in second behind Gerard. Was there something that happened in the pit stops?
Ooms was in his stop for 28 seconds. Gerard was in there for 14.
Speeding penalty?
Well, you add 15 to 14, you get 29. That's what Ooms had, so yeah, I think so.
Ooh, the plot thickens. And they are together on track as we ride on board with Jeffrey Ooms. He's been so dominant this season, but it's been a few mistakes on his part that have cost him. He got the setup wrong down at Phillip Island in the final Asian round as he closes up behind Jason Gerard, looking to the inside, sticks his nose in. Gerard does not defend. Down into Riches, almost cuts him off. Gives him just a little bit of room at the first apex. So Ooms is going to stay behind, tries one more time down into Wilson. Look at how close he's getting. They actually touch. My goodness, Bill.
Lucky that Ferrari wasn't any longer on the hood there. It would have been all over.
It's Ford versus Ferrari in the GTLM class, up at the front for the lead. Another look from Jeffrey Ooms. He wants back into the lead very quickly. That car going off is Mark Kudrowski, letting the leaders go by. He's in the same class, but they are a lap ahead of him.
What was interesting is Gerard, he left the inside open, but then he didn't leave the inside lane open. He took his fastest racing line, so it's good. Ooms has to note that now about dive bombing. Clearly Gerard's is going to race it and respect that Ooms isn't going to put the car in there where it doesn't belong.
Well, these are two top drivers. This time a defensive line from Jason Gerard as they go side by side into Brundle. Not often that you can pull that off. He's going to get the apex back down at Nelson, though. And it looks like Gerard is going to hold the lead, at least for now. It is the Battle of Niagara, New York versus Canada in the GTLM class.
Man, that's some good hard racing there.
It is.
We've seen Gerard fight hard in the prototypes against Robert Tinsley, and those have been feisty, but I don't think we've seen this type of fight down in the middle class with the New Yorker.
Ooms clearly faster. Gerard knows he's faster. He's just going to race this line and make Ooms earn it.
No kidding. He is. You need to be solidly inside me by the time you get by. As we ride, looking over the shoulder of Jeffrey Ooms once again. Again, he led most of this race And what you're seeing is a result, we believe, potentially from a speeding penalty in pit lane that set him behind Jason Girard.
Okay, guys, our leader, Sevredek, is in the GTDs. Jason DeVries stays out. Sevredek in his box.
Oh, and we got an opportunity as Jason Girard goes wide out of Augie's, and it hands it over to Ooms on a silver platter.
Well, we were looking while Sean was talking about that. Girard was off even the corner before that. He was really pushing, making that Ford go places it didn't want to go. And there you see him getting off. Kept it going straight, brought it back on.
Well, it was a valiant effort by the New Yorker, but unfortunately, it just was not to be. And while that was happening, I feel bad because we couldn't go to Sean, because it seemed like Sevredek, or excuse me, that DeVries was closing in on Sevredek for that GTD lead.
He really was. He'd gotten it down to 0.6 of a second, Joe, and boy, it was about to be a battle. And I think Sevredek finally decided, you know what, let me come in now, try and catch him out, and that's exactly what happened. DeVries, a little caught out by that decision. He's out for another lap. It also looks like Tim McLeish and Matt Owens have come in, so the dominoes beginning to fall as I suspected they might here late in the race in the GTDs.
So now the question is, what does the Audi of Jason DeVries do? How long does he keep it out? 20 minutes left on the clock. We know that these GT3 cars can go quite a while on fuel.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to lose any time. I think he's going to bring it in here. I could be wrong, but I just have a feeling.
Whoa, as he takes it very wide out of Murray's, but he's going to stay out.
He's going to stay out.
You know, he's got clear track in front of him. What does he have behind him? Jimbo Pfeiffer. Yeah. So I just don't see him coming in anytime soon while he can run as fast as laps as he wants with nobody nearby.
You know what? You're right. And I'm going to go with you on that because, you know what, as I do look around the track, this is about the cleanest section of track he's going to get right now for a while. So probably run it right to the final drops.
So that begs the question, where is Sevredek and what does he have around him? Is he by himself on track?
No, not exactly, actually. Sevredek got his pit stop in, and right now he is trying to pick him up on track here, but I see him. He's got some traffic around him he's having to deal with here, so that is going to keep him maybe not as fast. We'll see here once he gets a couple of good solid laps in, but right now everything's still the same.
Trying to see if he lost any time with the last car that went through. That would be Mark Wilson. He had caught him just before Corum's, I'm seeing, so actually he might have cost him a little bit of time because poor Sevredek had to go to the outside line, and I bet there's all kinds of marbles out of that very fast and long right-hander where the cars are putting so many G-forces into the tires and just throwing the marbles out.
Yeah, taking a look at, I finally picked up Sevredek actually on track, and boy, you know what? He does have clean track to work with right now. I don't see anybody really. He's clear behind. He's got one car in front of him, which is honestly pretty good piece up the road from him. So he kind of has the same situation going on right now that DeVries has, and DeVries has decided to come down the pit lane just as we start talking about that, Joe.
All right, this is a big one. He hits his stall. Now, where is Sevredek? Sevredek currently coming up to Corum now. DeVries still stationary, waiting for him to take off. Now he goes, but he's got the whole pit lane to go down as he is pretty much way at the end. Sevredek on the center straight, coming past the pit entrance. DeVries just getting past the pit limiter line. He's out, and I think he's ahead.
Indeed he is, Joe. He gets out just ahead of Sevredek. So now Sevredek gets to be the chaser. We've seen him chase Brad Haley, but have we seen him chase Jason DeVries? No, we haven't. Not this season. Let's see what Dennis Sevredek's got for him.
And we don't know if these two have raced each other before, because they could have obviously fought in official iRacing races, but we just can't be sure. As far as we know, they are unknowns to each other. And before this breaks out, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll take you all the way to the checkered flag from here at round 11 at Snetterton in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel. We're here at Snetterton Circuit for round 11 of the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. With the pit stops now being fully done, I believe, for all three classes, let's go through the top 5 in each of them, starting with the prototypes. Your leader, pretty much since the drop of the green, he lost it through the pit stops, but he's regained it, of course, after strategy played itself out. Robert Bob the Blade Tinsley leading the way in the absence of some big names today. Cy Andra has been trying to give chase, but really the story of his day has been the damage that he took early on. Unfortunately, it made it a hard hill to climb, so he sits in second. Daniel Gralty, another good podium looking like it's on the card for Daniel. Third in the row potentially here for Daniel as he sits in third. Lionel Duprat, we missed it. He did finally eventually get past Armando Edwards. Duprat has got himself a handy fourth, which is going to be a good points haul for him today. In fifth, it is Armando Edwards after being demoted by Duprat. Still not too bad of a day for Armando himself. Let's go to Bill for the GTLMs.
Top 5 in that class. Unless disaster strikes one of these drivers, I think they're pretty much cemented where they are. Jeffrey leads the way with about 5 seconds over Jason Gerard. Did I hear that? Did I just hear an engine blow? Could it be Kevin Santana? No, I guess he's okay. Well, all right, we're all right. Let's keep going. In third position, it is Stephen McGarvey. He's got about 13 seconds over Leif Peterson, who runs in fourth in class. Finally, Ryan Huff. He's got 42 seconds back to Jimbo Pfeiffer. Sean, what do you got in the GTDs?
Boy, I've got a race. Jason DeVries is up to first after that round of pit stops. Guys, he's hanging on to it. He's pulling away from Dennis Savretic, who's now 1.7 seconds behind in second after leading this whole race right up until the pit stops. And Savretic has it now. Now back in third, we've got, despite the rumors of his sudden demise, it's Kevin Santana still back there running third. And Santana, you know what? Something about that paint scheme he's running today, I think it's with him. It suits him. And right now, third is a great place to be. Ross Booth in fourth. Booth not that far behind, about 2.5. Well, now it's gone to 3 seconds as traffic comes through. But Booth with an outside chance to maybe pick something up here if Kevin should get in trouble. And we go on back to fifth place, and it's going to be Sheldon Rosenbaum, who finds himself right now quite a ways back there to fight from. So Sheldon just got to keep the car on track right now, and hopefully he can get that Mercedes home in one piece and hold on to that fifth place spot.
Sean, you were talking about Kevin Santana. He led a ton of laps in the GTD. He was really late to bring it in. I can't help, whenever I think of Santana, I can't help but think about Oye Como Va, which translates to, hey, how's it going? Well, right now, Kevin, it's going good. You're racing third in class, 15th overall. And you made the top 5 chart for the pre-race show. So things are going good.
The battle that I'm keeping my eye on is that first place for GTD, which might be brought a little bit back together here as DeVries gets held up slightly by Robert Tinsley coming into Wilson. They're sitting in about 1.5 seconds apart between DeVries and Savretic. Dennis has got to be asking himself, though, how can I catch a break? My main rival doesn't show up, and this new guy comes in, and I lose an opportunity for maximum points.
Boy, tough to have to sit there in that seat and contemplate that over the next 11.5 minutes. You wonder if there's any way he can catch him here at this point. I'm going to say it again, and it's going to sound like a broken record, but man, that Audi has looked good today.
Yep.
And has really shown some strength in the turns here of this circuit.
What's interesting about DeVries is he hasn't raced for probably 2, 3, maybe 4 seasons. I don't know how long it's been. But his presence is always there in the forums. He's always popping in, saying something. So it's great to see him back out on track.
Absolutely. Doesn't just talk the talk, he can walk the walk. He's proven it today. But he still has 10 more minutes left to go before the checkered flag. And one thing we know, Bill, in this series is this race is not over until that checkered flag falls.
Now, a pair of leaders there. Syandra goes by in the prototypes. Gets around DeVries.
Gonna bring it through for one more lap here. There you can see Andra. He might be only slightly worried. I'm sure he doesn't like losing points out to Robert Tinsley, but Andra is at least, I'm sure, relieved that it isn't as bad as it could have been. I'm sure his heart was in his mouth when he had that contact with the Ford earlier on.
Yeah,
and knowing that he's minimizing the damage with a second place, that's the best he could hope for.
Let me apologize. Of course, Robert Tinsley is our leader. Robert, I forgot about you. You were so far out in front, you were off my screen there.
Well, leader's a vague term. I mean, he's second place. That's a leader.
You know what? If I'm going to say this, if I'm being honest, I don't think Syandra scares me unless he's in a C7 to 10 Daytona prototype, to be honest with you. So I don't get scared until I see him in one of those coming around the track.
Oh, he raced well with us back at Daytona. Obviously, Sean and I were on a team that raced against Cy out in the Daytona prototype class and the Daytona 24 Hours on iRacing. He works his way down the Bentley Straight.
I'm still catching up on my sleep from that.
I love watching them work their way through Brundle. Yeah, practically slides it through Nelson. Not something you often do in a car like this. Then through the penultimate corner of Coram, hugging the right side, making sure to stay off that high sausage curve on the inside of Murray's, and up the main straight one more time. Time is ticking down, winding down. Again, if you're just joining us, our leader in the 3 classes, Robert Tinsley, P1 in the prototypes. Jeffrey Ooms leads the GTLMs, and Jason DeVries leads the GTDs.
Leading it by more now than he has. 1.7 seconds, Joe. Could get a little interrupted here by some traffic coming through. Here comes Gralty.
Gralty just keeps going from strength to strength. And as Bill pointed out, that is with the included extra talent in this series. Having had gotten 4 podiums, that really says something.
GTE leader coming through also there in Jeffrey Ooms, and it's taken the whole race for the GTEs to catch our two leaders here in the GTDs.
Riding on board with Gralty, now looking back.
Go ahead.
How about a second? Let's give a little love to P6 overall, Mark Wilson. He's in 6th. He had a 6th place earlier this season at Road Atlanta, so he's matching his personal best. Quiet run from him.
Boy, Bill, we were so excited about... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead. My bad.
We were so excited about seeing the battle between Gerard and Ooms after that pit stop, and it looked like we were going to get in a good fight. But since Ooms has gotten past, I'm looking at the gap. Oh, gosh, it's up to 5.5. So Ooms is trouncing things yet again.
Yeah, it was... well, remember, he opened up. It was the difference was 15 seconds in the pit stop times. So he had opened up that big lead before the stops, and then he just fell a little bit back. So, yeah, he's got the stuff. He's had the stuff all season, and he's had the stuff no matter what car we've seen him. We've seen him race in several other cars. He's always good. He's working right now on getting around. Well, that's DeVries he gets around.
Certainly seems to favor tin tops, GT cars.
Yeah.
Which is okay. Everybody's got their specialty.
Yeah, I was reminded last night that a NASCAR Cup car is also a tin top, and I said, yeah, okay, that's kind of a stretch.
Well, elsewhere in the world, you know, they call stock car racing something a little different than we do in the States, for what it's worth. As we watch Servretic continue to try and chase Jason DeVries, who appropriately actually has the number 1 on that Audi.
Gotta shake my head at deep freeze. He comes back. Hello, I'm back. I'll just pick up a win while I'm here. We may not see him again for another 3 seasons.
Saying he may sit on that one for a bit.
Yeah.
Huh?
Rested on his laurels.
Is he the Bobby Fischer of the Autobahn series? Coming down the Bentley Straight one more time. We've watched a few other cars go through here. Watch these GT cars work their way through that left and then right.
Yeah, surprisingly, we haven't seen a little more trouble. I thought we'd see trouble there, Joe, honestly.
I did too.
Yeah.
I think everybody has just been so wary of it. They've been maybe driving at 95% through there. The other thing, the thing is, it's not just solo drivers that I thought maybe it would be issues, but traffic, that we'd see some prototypes try to send one in a shaky situation. But I think because it's been a lighter car count today, it's been a bit of a saving grace in that they haven't been pressured into battles in the way that we expected.
Full disclosure, I've never been on this track. Is it as flat as it looks from my vantage point, or is there much elevation?
Yeah, it's pretty flat.
It's pretty flat. It's an air-filled soup.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
flat.
all right.
You've got a bit of a rise going from Palmer to Augustini, and then, of course, you've got the dip down in the bomb hole. But other than that, there really isn't much going on. One of the main criticisms we hear a lot of drivers give about this place. But I was pleasantly surprised when I drove here. I thought that it would be incredibly boring, especially with this infield, but it's actually quite fun.
Yeah,
I really mean that.
I'm with you, Joe. I like this track. It challenges me. Keeps me coming back for more every time I get out here and turn laps.
We see some more traffic coming up on Servretic. He's going to want to be caught here on the Bentley Straight and hope that Gerard is going to be able to get by, maybe hang up DeVries, or excuse me, Maggie, hang up his competitor Servretic. No, DeVries. Confused myself. I'm sorry.
Joe, I don't think there's enough time left to worry about it, to be honest with you. It's going to be an awful tough call here for Servretic to get just to DeVries. And of course, Soup, what's got to happen when he gets there?
Well, he's got to milk the rooster. The hardest part of milking the rooster is after you catch it, and that's certainly the case. Thanks for that setup, Sean.
Is that a contractual obligation? You have to have that once a race?
Yes, we definitely have obligated ourselves to that. Oh, that's a bit of a surprise. Look at that. Jason Gerard coming down the pit lane out of second place.
My.
This is unusual. I would assume this is fuel.
I would assume that's not exactly what he planned on, yeah.
Gerard's not typically the type... No, wait a minute. He just came in and out. Did he stop in his stall? Now, what in the world is going on?
Just kind of drove through. Maybe he thought the race was over.
Well, he's still got 3 minutes to go. Somebody call up Mark Martin. Get him to give a chat to Jason Gerard.
Great. Get a Mark Martin reference here at Snetterton. Absolutely perfect.
It's hard to do that, Joe. That was well done. You wouldn't think you could get in a Mark Martin reference here. Hey, quickly, 16th overall, your hard charger, Ross Booth, hasn't got a little up for us. Get in a little attention before the checker flies.
Yeah, Ross not far from competing for the podium. I mean, he's really been struggling from that position to catch it all race, but he's done a solid job of staying there in it.
There we see Ross Booth. He's had some decent results all season long. Wondering if he's got anything for the Merc of Kevin Santana as we take another glance at our overall leader who should be getting the white flag next time by as we're under 2 minutes. Fourth in that class coming back together. We missed the pass between Duprat and Edwards. Could we see the reverse? As Edwards has run down our AM Championship leader, the Mama Jean Racing HPD has only half a second between himself and the New Jersey driver.
I can see Mama Jean watching this tomorrow morning. She's going to be up on the edge of her seat. Oh, no!
Very
Mama
wide
Jean.
for Duprat.
Duprat missed the apex. I think he's in trouble now. Eat your muffin, honey.
It's going to close in even tighter, down to 0.5 of a second. And Gerard is in again, we understand.
Something went wrong there.
Something is absolutely not right. This time he did stop, and he's out of the car. Oh, disappointment. Again, he's not in this championship hunt, so really he's only here for the wins. Bit disappointed that we don't see him at least try and stay out for a podium. Meanwhile, white flag has come out for Robert Tinsley. Bob the Blade has had probably one of the most inconsistent seasons we've ever seen from him, but he's got things back on track lately. Had a bit of a bad race that really wasn't his fault at Phillip Island. Actually left the track. Car flew over the wall. Cost him a lot of time as it had to be towed back to the pits before he could come back and try to get back to at least gain one spot towards the end of the race. Today, he's avoided such problems as he works his way through Augies. Really hasn't seen hardly any challenge from Syandra, especially once Sy had problems of his own. So it'll be a minimal chip away at the points of our two leaders, Ulmer and Andra, but it's something as he works his way through Brundle, then through Nelson, nice and tidy through there, through the dip of the bomb hole, and then he's just got Coram and Murray's to go. Using that downforce, keeping the car glued to the track. Out of the final corner, away to the line. The win is going to go to Robert Tinsley here at Snetterton for the first time at the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge.
It's going to be Jeffrey Ooms. Now, what's going to be interesting, going around Ooms right now, this is that battle. This is Duprat. And here comes, right behind Ooms, we're going to be able to watch both of these. Here comes Edwards, Joe.
And Ooms has space to the car behind. If I was him, I would let these cars through at the first opportunity. He does not. Going through Williams. Whoa! As Edwards almost gets run off the track with Duprat trying to go to the racing line. That's going to hold him back for now as they now leave our leader. Unfortunately, we're going to have to maybe miss this as our... Well, and that seals that deal. So
they'll be ahead of Ooms. They'll actually come across the start-finish line first.
Well, one of them will be ahead.
Yeah, one of them will. That's right.
All right. Jeffrey Ooms looked in trouble. He had what we think is a speeding penalty. Even with that, he shows that you just can't stop the mantra. He comes across the line to take yet another win in the GTLM class.
Deep freeze into Coram, boys. Sofretic chasing, but got nothing for him. Here we go to Murray's one last turn.
He's going to come to the line. Jason DeVries returns with aplomb. He's going to take the win in the GTD class here in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. That's going to complete our drivers. You can see our winners celebrating out on track. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews after a short break, but don't go away because on screen we'll see all the upcoming races here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Welcome back to Snetterton Circuit. We just watched round 11 in the Autobahn Motorcar Group Sports Car Challenge. And this first-time visit for this series to this track produced a little bit of dull racing in places, but it lit up at certain other points with some great battles out on track. Not so up at the front of the prototypes, because Robert Tinsley basically walked away with this one and took the win. Cy Andra had no answer, so Tinsley's going to take another chip away at Cy's points lead in the championship. Daniel Gralty, his third podium in a row, gets a hat trick. Nice job for him. You have to wonder when he's going to start moving up further in the order. Lionel Duprat ties his best finish of the season. He got a fourth at Road Atlanta. He gets a fourth here today. Great run from him. He beat out Armando Edwards, who challenged at the very end, but Armando's mistake down into Nelson means he has to settle for fifth. Mark Wilson rounds out the last of our finishing prototypes. He takes a sixth today. Bill?
Jeffrey Ooms led for a while, picked up a speeding penalty, we believe, lost the lead, got it back, comes home with the win. Jason Gerard's retirement moves everybody else up a spot. Stephen McGarvey gets second, Lee Peterson third, Brian Huff fourth, and Jimbo Pfeiffer fifth in class. Then you get down there to the guys that are going to be way back there, Jason Gerard and Mark Krudowski. Okay, Sean, what do you got?
All right, Soup. And then I've got, the surprise winner, Jason DeVries. They're finishing first, and Dennis Savretek going to finish 1.4 seconds behind him. Kevin Santana going to get on the podium this week. He'll finish third. Ross Booth with a great run, fourth. Sheldon Rosenbaum, speed just wasn't there for him today. Fifth, Tim McLeish, sixth. Matt Owens, seventh. And you go back to Giuliano Romagnolo, eighth in class. Bradley Haley, Robert Sklenka, and Alice Simonik did not start this race.
And with that, we have our winner waiting to talk to us. Robert Tinsley recovers after a bad round last time, and I have to imagine that feels pretty good after the disappointment that you had to put up with Phillip Island.
Yeah, it definitely feels better. Just a little sad that a lot of people weren't able to make this one.
Yeah, it seems like this track really divided opinion on whether drivers loved or hated it. Where are you on the fence?
I like it. I think it'd be a really good single-seater track. It's not too bad of a multi-class track, but I think it's a lot of fun to do hot laps here, and it has a lot of challenging corners that are really rewarding and feel good when you get them right.
Now, next round is a much more popular circuit, and it's a very thirsty one. Are you already starting to think about pit stop strategy for next week at Monza? Is that something that you're going to be doing a lot of work in the upcoming week?
Not too much. I'll probably look at some old replays or something and just to try to get an idea as to, what the numbers are and whatnot. Really depends on how much traffic we get, I think. So, yeah, we'll have to see.
All right. Well, again, congratulations. This is going to help your charge to try and take another championship. We hope to see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Robert Tinsley, our winner in the prototypes. We do have our winner in the GTLM class. Bill has caught up with the mantra.
Hi, Jeffrey Ooms, 34 miles an hour down pit lane. You didn't check that out before you started racing, huh?
Yeah, that was my bad for sure. I practiced that a million times in practice too, and then just went in too hot for whatever reason. I can't seem to just go maybe 95% into pit lane. I just have to go 110 and try to make up every second I can on the whole entire race. So I'll have to get that in check next time for sure, because giving up a second, maybe second and a half is a lot better than 15 seconds, which is what it was.
Yeah, well, let's blame it on the Canadian metric system. That's what I'm going to use as an excuse. Let's say you came out there, then you had some work to get around Gerard, but once you got him, it was Katie bar the door.
Yeah, he put up a good fight there for sure. I didn't want to make any contact in a couple places. I probably could have just stuck my nose in, but we have a good running on-track relationship, I think, and along with everybody else. So I just wanted to keep that intact and just thought I could make my way around him cleanly, which is what I did in the end. Put a little pressure, and I think he went off in the dirt there, and just kind of got by him naturally. So,
yeah, that was before I'm going to let you out on this one, I know you raced the Ferrari. is there much difference on track? Can you tell when you're racing against somebody that's in one of your Ferraris as when you're racing somebody in the Ford, or are they pretty much the same all the way around?
I find it actually just depends on the driver, because I've been beaten really bad with people in the Ford and beaten bad with people in the Ferrari, and then the vice versa too. So I think it just kind of boils down to driver's personal preference, and then how they can handle the car at the track. And with this one, I don't know if people had much experience or not with it, but yeah, I just had a good feel for it today.
It is fun to see two cars though so evenly matched. Hey, congratulations on another win. One of many. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much.
Mantra, Jeffrey Ooms, our winner today.
Up next, we have second place in the prototype, Cy Andra, joining us. Sean has caught up with him to talk about his podium finish.
Cy Andra, welcome back to the podium. Boy, it's been a little while since Coda. How's it feel today?
Felt good. I mean, second place in a row. I'll take it. Unfortunately, John couldn't be with us today, but I think this kind of consolidates my points lead going into Monza and Le Mans, and I think I'm pretty fast at those tracks. So hopefully I can win a championship in my rookie year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, it's been a solid season for you. You talked about Monza coming up, and boy, you know what? We asked Robert. I'm going to ask you. You're already having visions of fuel calculations in your head as we head to Monza.
Oh yes, Monza's very, very similar to Road America, and that's where I got my first win, just down to fuel calculations and fuel consumption, making sure I hit those targets. So hopefully I can do the same at Monza, but I don't think Ulmer and Tinsley are going to make it that easy for me.
Well, all right, so they won't make it easy for you. That means practice, and will you get a chance to put much practice in before the next race?
Oh, definitely. I mean, between my midterms and I'm still in my undergrad, but between midterms and reports, I should be able to squeeze in a few laps.
Hey, Cy, it's Soup here. You put on the extra strength nose cone on that prototype, didn't you?
I closed my eyes and went for it. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, it was strange. I mean, it looked like you hit him pretty good, and the nose on screen to us, it disappeared, and then it magically came back.
I'm going to thank the gods of netcode for that one.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you for coming in and chatting with us for just a minute. Congratulations on a great race, and we will see you at Monza.
Thanks for the broadcast, guys.
And we have our winner in the GTD showing up, Jason DeVries. The Deep Freeze has returned, not just returned, but returned at the top step of the podium. Jason, did you expect to be successful this early back? Jason, do you got a copy?
Joe, he had said in the YouTube chat that he was still trying to figure out how to get the Discord thing set up. So.
It's been so long he's forgotten how to push the buttons and stuff.
We'll give him a second to try and see if he can get his mic set up. But as we said, Jason has been around for a long time in this series, and obviously was pretty fast back then, and he's fast still, it seems. Hasn't really lost his edge. Gave a good challenge to Savretic and came out on top. As looks like Jason has left us momentarily.
Yeah, he's already messaged me and said, "Yeah, I'm giving this one up next time, guys."
Sad to see. All right, we'll let him sort it out in the next 2 weeks and see if he gets on the podium.
Well, if he clearly didn't expect to do so well, he would have had that prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, we're going to close up here today. And of course, we want to thank a few people before we go. Thanks to the Autobahn Motorcar Group for sponsoring the series they have for every single season. And of course, thanks to John Ulmer and all of his team of people who work behind the scenes to organize these races. It's a thankless job, and we appreciate them doing what they do. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. And of course, additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Bill, Sean, Amjad, Dougie, and of course, special thank you to our pit reporter, Calvin Filarski. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel. We're also on Facebook, just at simply Global Sim Racing Channel. Next round, we're heading across the channel. We're going down to Italy, to the boot, to Monza. That'll be Monday, March 5th at 9:15 p.m. Eastern, 2 weeks from today. Don't miss that one. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.